I'm sure especially if you're a young up-and-coming filmmaker, you don't really feel like you have access to the big boy cameras. Like, you're not gonna go out and buy a RED Komodo as much as all the YouTube filmmakers right now are saying they're insanely cheap because they dropped it down to $3,000 or something. That's not happening. Don't worry, it's not happening to me yet either. I'm still shooting on my A7S from 2014. What I'm doing here is I really do want to emphasize that you do have alternatives to this. There are ways to make films without spending much money at all, especially if you do have a phone. You can shoot a movie with your phone these days. I'm sure we've all heard that one before. Yeah, that's something that you often hear from filmmaker YouTube channels, especially over the last 10 years or so, and it's only really becoming more and more true as time goes on, really. I mean, just very recently we just had Danny Boyle with his cinematographer shooting 28 years later on an iPhone. To some extent. Yes, they still use the RELXs and the Sony Venices or Puranos or the Reds, but for some filmmakers, the iPhone genuinely is good enough. And really that kind of extends to other phones as well. I haven't personally tested any of these out myself because I'm still on the Pixel 6 Pro, but even that is better than anything I was using when I was growing up trying to get into filmmaking. Even the audio can be pretty good if you use a second phone as a microphone. Kind of use it in a way you would use a lav mic or something. Have it close to the actor and use it exclusively for the audio track. You just need two phones. And if you have another actor, you probably do have access to another phone. It's great. But don't worry, I hear you. You don't want to use your phone. Okay, I mean, if you ever look at my show reel, you'd probably think he definitely doesn't shoot with a phone. And that is true, I don't. In fact, I never really have. But I've never paid for any of this gear myself. This stuff I shot on the RED Komodo. That's my favourite camera that I've personally used. I never spent any money on it. I shot a whole documentary on the URSA Mini 4.6K, the Blackmagic. I never paid any money for it. There are ways to do this without spending the money. You just need to know how to do it, such as through renting it or borrowing it. Examples of this very recently, I was on a film shoot, a professional film shoot where the DOP was renting out a Sony Venice. They don't own it, but they were renting it out. Of course that eats into the budget a little bit, but that is so much cheaper than just buying it. That's one of the professional methods. Borrowing cameras is a bit more on our level, really. A few weeks ago I just finished wrapping on The Turned, which was directed by Joseph Arnott, and it is a passion project short film, actually two short films, where I got to DOP on. Director of photography, meaning that I'm in control of the camera and lighting for anybody who isn't aware. It's also known as cinematographer, but I remember when I contacted Joseph about this opportunity, I outright said that I don't want to use my gear, the A7S, because it has unreliable battery issues where I have to swap these out after every 20 minutes or so, and I only have a few of these batteries, so I didn't want to hold back the shoot by constantly needing to charge batteries and vice versa. But it turned out that we were shooting some of the film at the university, and this is another route that you can take where it can be free to use more professional gear. At least if you have a good producer or first AD, somebody who can get in contact with the universities or something in order to use their facilities like the laboratories. All they asked is that maybe some of their students could help out in making it. It's a good opportunity for them, and we could use some of their gear in return. And since I was director of photography on this, I was the one that made the list of what cameras I wanted. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything that I personally was hoping for, but that's beside the point. They had gear that was accessible to us now that is better than anything we would have been able to use without their help. It was the Canon C100 Mark II, I believe, which is a really old camera at this point. It's not something that I would personally want to go with again, but it's a great quality camera when you know what to do with it. Not that I do, I actually have a lot of regrets that I shot with that. It doesn't have a great LCD screen, you do need a monitor for it, an external monitor. It does have problems with the dynamic range. I didn't quite enjoy having the windows blown out all the time, but it kind of added to the character of the film, I think, in the end. But, you know, people have achieved great stuff with it, and yeah. But that's what I'm getting at. You can still get these cameras that were relatively inaccessible to me back when they came out around 2014, 2016. For super cheap or for free. And when I was doing my master's course at university, I did have access to cameras like the Blackmagic cameras, like the Pocket 6K and the URSA Minis. Phenomenal cameras compared to what I've been using before, and they genuinely hold up, even though they are also from like 2016, 2017. And I shot a documentary that was on the URSA Mini 4.6K, and it holds up really well in my opinion. We watched it on a big, like, proper cinema screen at one point, and most of it I had shot in 1080p because of storage issues, and it looked great. It cut really well with a 4K image. I didn't have a problem with that. And I didn't need to go looking for the new cameras or pay much to rent out any gear. It was just using a 2016 camera. And you know what? You can buy these cameras really cheap. I think you can get like a Pocket or an URSA Mini for around $1,000 or less. I know that's not cheap. I know, I agree, but I'm saying they're a lot cheaper than they used to be. Again, this A7S is a good camera to start with in my opinion. It's a mirrorless camera, you can switch out the lenses, and it shoots really nice 1080p footage. Not 4K, that is an issue, but when I got this in 2019, I paid around, I want to say 600 on eBay, which is crazy because back then I thought that's cheap. Now it's not cheap. You can get the A7S II for cheaper than that right now, and I would much rather go with that these days because it does shoot 4K internally, whereas this you need an external monitor that is already expensive as it is. Like, the A7S was a dream camera to me growing up. I wanted this. Everybody used to go on about it. Now it's all about the A7S III or the FX3, which is my new dream camera. I would love an FX3, but you can still buy these cameras really cheap. Another good way of doing this is getting involved with your local film communities. I can't emphasize this enough how much this is so helpful. I stayed away from my filmmaking communities for a long time. I kept myself in my bubble of friends, and we just kind of made films together. It's only really been in the last year or so that I've been doing this, getting myself out there and meeting all these new people. And the thing is, some of these people that you do meet will already have access to good quality gear, and it's not necessarily even camera gear, sound gear, lighting gear, rigging gear. Like, they are out there just waiting for you to befriend them and make films with them. Trust me, it is so much easier once you actually get yourself going with it. You meet one person, then another, and suddenly you are in this web of interconnected filmmakers. I know it can be tough because, especially these days, YouTube filmmaking isn't really that relatable. At least that's what I think. It used to be the case when I was younger. Even though they were recommending the Canon 5D Mark II that I couldn't have access to, they were still kind of comparing it with the Canon 600D that I did eventually go pick up. Now they kind of all just shout out about the Sony FX3, maybe the A7S III, the RED Komodo X, and, you know, all these other big cameras that are way out of our price budget. I agree. We've kind of lost that relatable filmmaking, and that's kind of what I want to start bringing back a bit with YouTube filmmaking. So yes, go out and make a film with your friends with your phone. No joke, just do it. You don't have the excuse that you don't have the gear. Just go do it. You might as well. Along the way, you'll meet more people, you'll have access to more gear. Whether you pay for it yourself or not, you will have access to more and more gear along the way. And it's the only way you're going to get better with your filmmaking anyway. Like, if you're not starting out, you're not going to be good at it. The only way to get good at something is to practice. That sounds so cringy, but it is so true. And yeah, you can make a movie with your phone. It's true, Danny Boyle did it.